Hello, Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode as I am reviewing Michael Bay's Ambulance. Now, for anyone who's been watching The Weekend Crusaders, whether it be our most anticipated films, Brian Michaels and myself, we are fans of Michael Bay when he's not doing Transformers movies. We're actually going to be talking about him on tomorrow's episode of the Actor, Actress, Director Showcase, where we will be going over all the Michael Bay-isms that we love and don't love, and movies that we love and don't like of his directorial films. But this was one film that Brian and myself were actually really excited to see. Besides the fact that it's Michael Bay doing a movie that's not Transformers, you got a cast here of actors and actresses that we really love with, Jake Gyllenhaal, which to me, Jake Gyllenhaal cannot really do anything wrong in my eyes. You got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who to me is growing to being one of the better, or one of the most talked about and most watched actors in Hollywood. You got Eiza Gonzalez, who Brian's a huge fan of Eiza Gonzalez, and I am growing as a fan of hers as well in every movie that I see her in. And also an actor that Brian and I think is criminally underrated, but for people who know Fear the Walking Dead, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, and that is Garrett Dillahunt. These four actors being in this film and having Michael Bay as the director had us super excited to see this film. It was one of our most anticipated movies of the year. Going into the actual film itself, I mean, the main plot, if you guys have seen the trailers, you've got Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya. They play Danny and Will Sharp, who are brothers, and they basically are robbing a bank. Will is doing this to try and get some money to basically do an expensive experimental surgery for his wife who has cancer. Danny's doing it because he just loves robbing banks. But when the robbery goes awry, they hijack an ambulance where Eiza Gonzalez's Cam is working on, and basically from there, it's a cluster of car chases and gunfire explosions. It's a Michael Bay film. Now, with a Michael Bay film, and you guys will see this tomorrow when we talk about it on our Actor, Actress, Director Showcase show, with Michael Bay, you're going to have some Michael Bay-isms. You're going to have some adolescent humor, some adolescent dialogue that's really out of place and really doesn't fit with the movie. You're going to have some explosions. You're going to really have some car chases and car crashes and just unnaturally violent things. You're going to have some scenes that really make no sense. And you're also going to have some very fun performances. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad in this. Now, for me, when it comes to the four leads, Eiza Gonzalez really comes out of this movie looking like a superstar. This is hands down to me the best performance I've seen of Eiza Gonzalez. This is one of those career-making films for her. I feel like, she's a popular actress already, but I feel like this performance, because she is really made out to be the superstar of this movie, is really going to elevate her to one of the top actresses in Hollywood, I feel, because Michael Bay did the same thing with Megan Fox and others as well, and I feel like Eiza is going to get that push to the next level for her performances, and she is great in this film. Cam is the one character of the movie that you actively are rooting for throughout. Now, even though Michael Bay is trying so hard to make you root for Danny and Will, ultimately, they are the robbers in this movie. They are the bad guys, and as much as Michael Bay's script is trying everything he can to make you root for Will, Will is a bad guy in this movie. Will does things in this film that causes certain things to happen and causes certain injuries and causes certain deaths that it's very hard for you to really root for Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya in this movie. Now, they are enjoyable. They are a lot of fun. What good villains aren't? Jake Gyllenhaal's Danny is funny, charismatic. I mean, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, if you love Jake Gyllenhaal, you're going to love him in this movie. He does get the cringy Michael Bay lines in the movie. There are certain lines that he does say that is let out there for a joke that are just stupid, that no person would say at that moment in a movie, but in a Michael Bay film, it makes total sense. Yahya puts on another great performance because Yahya is one of these great actors who's just growing and becoming better and better. But it's just hard to root for these two based off the events that we see in the film. As much as Michael Bay tries to push the narrative that way, it's very hard to root for them outside of Isaac Gonzalez's Cam. Garrett Dillahunt, who plays Captain Monroe, I love Garrett. I think he's great in the movie. There's certain things that happen in the film, though, that I think does Garrett a great disservice and ultimately made me very annoyed and angry by the end of the film. It's nothing to do with his performance by any means. It's literally the script. But he does a stellar job in this movie, and I hope Garrett gets more movie roles because he's usually a very much of a TV actor, but he deserves to have more movie roles as well. Another character in the movie, FBI agent Anson Clark, who's played by Keir O'Donnell. Many people will know him, and the only reason I knew him as the creepy gay brother of Rachel McAdams and Isa Fisher in Wedding Crashers. Now, for me, I couldn't really remove him from that role because to me, it's I think the only role I've ever really seen him in. So he's not bad in the movie, but it's really hard to see him as an FBI agent and not think of him in that other film. It was really hard for me to pull that off, and I don't know if I really succeeded in pulling that off in my brain. Now, in terms of the actual film itself, the first 30-40 minutes of this movie I was not a fan of. A lot of it's a setup, set everything up for the bank robbery. I think the most Michael Bay-esque stuff that you do not like is in these first 30-40 minutes with bad dialogue, stupid characters that really have no business being in this film, and for some reason Michael Bay really, really wants to use drone cameras in this, and because of that, there are certain shots, usually it's transition shots, that really make you feel like you're on a roller coaster about to puke. If you have motion sickness, you're going to have problems with this film, especially in the first 30-40 minutes. Now, granted, after that, and when we do actually come into more of like a car chase movie, those scenes tend to go away, but there's certain times where Michael Bay is just doing 360 down a building where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, these are horrible shots. They're just ridiculous in terms of shooting and his editing, which I talked about it on tomorrow's episode of Actor Actress Director Showcase. Michael Bay's not the strongest editor, and in this movie there are shots in this movie where clearly you're watching one character do one thing and then it splits off to an outside shot. You see that character and he's not doing what you just saw him do, and then they revert back to the previous shot. It sticks out like a sore thumb for me. It's some really bad editing on Michael Bay's part here. But yes, you do get some stupid jokes that really don't land. You get some dialogue from certain characters, mainly Jake Gyllenhaal's character, that really doesn't land. There's characters that are thrown into this movie more for comic relief. None of their jokes really land. But when this movie does turn into a car chase between the ambulance and the police, does it feel like Grand Theft Auto when you have 5 stars? Absolutely it does. That's another part too, is that throughout this whole car chase, which is for the most part about 80% of this movie, once again, the movie's narrative is trying to make you root for Will and I guess Danny to an extent. But through this movie, they kill, through car accidents, through this chase, hundreds of people probably have died in this movie because of what they're doing. And once again, if you can turn your brain off and not pay attention to the outer effects of what these two are doing in this movie, then yeah, you could probably root for them. But if you pull back and think about this, how many people's lives have been ruined or ended because of the act of these two men in this movie? It's really hard to believe or want to root for these two characters. And sometimes that's one thing that Michael Bay does. It kind of makes you feel stupid for thinking logically in these movies because he's so forcibly trying to get you to like these characters. And I'm not talking about just this movie. He does it in other movies too. But it's like, no, like I can't like these characters. They've probably actively killed hundreds of people, and let alone cops, in this movie because of these car chases that are enjoyable to watch. But when you think about it, which I know it's a Michael Bay movie, you should probably turn your brain off. But there's so much in this movie that is just wrong in a sense. But he's wanting to just go, oh, look, pretty explosions, pretty colors, pretty. Don't worry about the actual real stuff. Focus on this. And that's kind of where this movie kind of falls apart a little bit. Was I entertained through most of this movie? Sure. Do I recommend it for Michael Bay fans? Sure. If you're not a Michael Bay fan, are you going to love this movie? Maybe if you're real fans of Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya, and Isaac Gonzalez. But in terms of the Michael Bay films, not counting the Transformers movies, this is probably one of his worst films, right up there with like Pearl Harbor, which I don't hate Pearl Harbor. But this movie, while I enjoyed it, is written poorly, it's edited poorly, and it also runs probably about 20 plus minutes too long. There's an unnecessary third act plot point that's brought into the film, and it's kind of, once again, trying to make Danny and Will seem more like heroes. That is unnecessary, unneeded, and really does nothing to change the story or change the thought process you have of the two characters in this film, except for making Isaac Gonzalez's character look even more great than he already is. There's also another situation with a certain officer that is supposed to be the domino effect that causes everything to go wrong, and there are certain things that happen throughout the film with this officer that is just unbelievable, and it's kind of, like I said, makes Michael Bay think that everyone watching this movie are idiots, because, I'm sorry, no, there's no way this character could do this thing or that thing and not have this completely fall apart or be in, it's hard for me to dance around without actually spoiling it, so I'm just going to stop right there. Ambulance, it's as itself, like I said, it's a Michael Bay movie for the best and worst of it. If you love Michael Bay type films, you're probably going to enjoy this, but you got to heed your expectations. For me, going to my overall score, I'm going to give Ambulance a 55%. Like I said, I liked chunks of it, but I didn't like it as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all those social media outlets you see below. Coming out next, like I said, my reviews for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and The Outfit are also out right now. And like I said on this episode already, tomorrow we will be coming out with our actor, actress, director showcase. We'll be talking about Michael Bay, Nicolas Cage, and Charlize Theron with my co-star Brian Michaels. Next week we'll be doing the Movie Crusaders Chat About, where we talk about remakes, reboots, and original films. And the following week we'll be doing cult films. And then we will be rounding out the month with our summer movie preview. We'll also be having reviews for the new Fantastic Beasts film and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent starring Nicolas Cage. So we got plenty of videos to check out. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.